Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about my M&P Shield 9. Okay, so this was my carry gun for much of 2020. Great thing about this was a $300 gun. Okay, and then I got this Polecraft holster from Amazon. I think it was something like maybe $15, maybe $17. So basically, a total of like what, $370 for a very reliable everyday carry gun. Okay? Now, I probably have not shot more than 1,000 rounds on this, but I have heard of people shooting, upwards of 15,000 rounds. I know James Yeager, who has passed away, was using this as one of his loaner guns for people that showed up to his classes and either their gun broke or they didn't have a small enough gun or whatever. And he said that he had one with 15,000 rounds on it, and very, very believable. I mean, it is a very, very solid gun at an excellent price. At least when I got it, and it was $300. It came with two magazines, one that fit flush and one that was slightly extended. I think he gave you an extra round or two. I don't remember exactly. I don't have that magazine here with me. The only reason I stopped carrying this is because basically I made this Polymer 80 G43 with the red dot, and I've come to really love shooting pistols with red dots. The G43 is a little bit small in this, so it is also a lot more comfortable to carry, right? Slightly smaller G43, especially when you're sitting down in the car seat, right? That's when you really feel the size of the gun. So this Shield 9 is probably as big as a gun I would want to carry. Okay, so this is slightly bigger. This is probably closer to the size of the Glock 43X. So it is slightly bigger. Now, it did not come with a cutout for an optic. At the time that I got this, which was like probably at least 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I mean, it wasn't even a thing. Okay, pistols were not sold back then. It might have been even longer. It might have been 12 years ago. Pistols were not sold with cutouts for red dots. So that kind of, makes this an antique. It's still an excellent gun. The only thing I did to this is I did upgrade the iron sights to the I forgot what the True Glows, I think, the glow in the dark ones. So let's strap this on, and like I said, I haven't shot this gun in a while. Let's see if I can still remember how to use iron sights. Let's get this back on. So, by the way, the holster, because this gun does not have a safety on it, a mechanical safety, and neither does my Glock 43. The holster, which is form-fitted specifically for these guns, that's the safety mechanism. Okay, that's what protects the trigger, retains the gun, and that's really the best type of safety that you can have on a gun as far as an external safety. I mean, they have internal safeties, okay, but the problem that I have found with external safeties, thumb safeties, is a lot of times they're on when you want them off, or off when you want them on. I've done lots of training classes where people will come out of a holster and they're like, oh shit, the gun's not working. Oh, forgot to take the safety off. So I've come to really like pistols without safeties, where the holster is a safety mechanism. Now, with the Shield 9, at least they did, I'm sure they still do, offer a version of this that has an external mechanical safety. It's really small, very thin. If your hands are sweaty or something, or the gun's wet, your thumb's gonna slip. The only reason why I think they sell it with the mechanical safety is because in some states, basically the gun has to have a mechanical safety in order for gun sellers to legally sell it to you. Okay, so in some states it's required. So what they did is they kind of put like this really thin mechanical safety on it just to satisfy the rule. Most of the people that carry guns with those type of safeties on it, they don't use those safeties. They still rely on the on the holster as the primary safety mechanism. And again, the gun has at least 3 internal safeties. There's usually one on the trigger, and then there's a firing pin block, and then there's the fact that the trigger has to move back in order for the gun to fully cock. Okay. So anyway, let's shoot this gun. And like I said, I haven't shot this gun in quite a while. So really nice gun. As far as taking it down, you've got this little swing down lever here that swings down, and I think that should just, do I have to pull the trigger? Yeah, you got to pull the trigger, and then that will slide forward. Okay, let's take a closer look at this. So this is very Glock-like. Okay, you know, I mean, this is maybe a little bit heavier than than my Glock 43 frame. Main difference, because it's got the spring in the back, it's got the sear back here. There's, you got the little, you know, the little shark fin there to disengage the firing pin safety, but it also has a spring, a trigger spring in the front to pull the trigger forward. So usually with the Glock, unless the slide's on and you rack the slide, the trigger is dead. Whereas this, it has forward resistance. But I mean, the polymer is a little bit thicker than my Glock 43, so very, very, very solid. And if you look at the slide, very Glock-like. I mean, you've got the double spring. I forgot what you call this, but the double recoil spring. You got the obviously the barrel there, and so over here again, it looks very Glock-like. To open it up, basically there's a firing pin lug there, and underneath it there's basically a sleeve I can see from here. And what you do is, like, you put an Allen key here, you pull down the sleeve, and that allows you to push the back plate out, and then you can take out your firing pin, and then you can also take out your extractor rod, which would allow you to then take out the extractor and then the firing pin block, which this M&P Shield 9 has it in the back. I think the Glock has it more towards the front. It's like usually right there. But as far as the slide parts, it's very Glock-like. Okay, so you can definitely see about, you know, that's where they got the inspiration from. Okay, let's put this back together. So the slide is a little bit heavier, a little bit beefier, you know, compared to like my Glock 43. It will probably be a little bit more comparable to like a Glock 43X. Yeah, I've shot one, I just don't have one handy to do a side-by-side comparison. Let's get this guy back on there. See if I can remember how this goes back on. Make sure that's, there you go. So, lock that back, there you go, okay. Function test. So as far as the safety here, the trigger, it's got, you know, just similar to a Glock. It's basically it doesn't have the little leaf safety in the middle. It has kind of like the two-piece, but it accomplishes the same thing. There's a, you know, when you press on the trigger, it deactivates the little block over here, where if you're not pressing on that, the trigger's not gonna go back. Okay, so I mean, I think for $300, this might be like the best, most reliable pistol that, you know, that probably is, that I own, or that's probably ever been made. Not that I've shot all $300 pistols out there, but this is a very, very solid gun. If you get a chance to get this for $300, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, it comes with two magazines, but definitely get it with the cutout for an RMS optic. Okay, one of the Holosun 507 ones. Definitely get it with that. You can get an aftermarket plate that basically replaces the rear sight. I did try it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it was sitting. And I just went back to the iron sight. Let's shoot this again. So I got here. So back in 2020, I was doing a lot more practicing with this gun because I was carrying it. I did get a bunch of these clear ETS magazines. I think this is the flush. What is it, 6? Yeah, there's a flush 6, or is it 7 rounds? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, this is 7 rounds. There's a flush 7 rounds, and then this is an extended 12 round, which is great if you want to do like a string of fire. This is also handy. Now these ETS ones, from what I recall, were fairly reliable with the Shield 9. The ETS magazines in my Glock 43, not so reliable. They work, but just not so reliable. Go back in the holster. So just a review of our holster drawer. Basically, you got to get the left hand on your body, on your chest, pulling your shirt, so that you know where this hand is, right? So that's something that has to be drilled in. Some people will train with it in their pocket, okay? But yeah, this hand, you got to know where it is, and you got to basically anchor it someplace so that you know it'll always be there. I put it on my chest because from here, basically, I can go into some type of grapple if I need to. Okay, so I want it on my chest if I got to clear my shirt. So that's why I train with it on my chest, and then if I need to pull my shirt or whatever, or open up my jacket, I go to there. I go there from there. Okay, so shirt. Oh, I was gonna go through the holster drawer. Forgot that. Okay, so like I said, hands on your chest, clear your garment. So you're gonna pull, okay, rotate, join, go to full extension. Right, line up, you get, acquire your shot, right, and then you do everything reverse. Get your hand on your chest, pull up your garment, back in the holster. Okay, so that's something that you just gotta practice that. This is something that you can do with the gun empty in your house. Okay, just point it, keep it in the safe direction, right? And this is something that you just gotta do, repetitions with this. Okay. We'll do a fire here. Let's go with the larger magazine here. Let's go out to 30 yards. That was 15 yards there that I was shooting. Let's go to 30 yards back there. Great with iron sights at 30 yards. And that target's like 2 foot by 1 foot. Let's switch guns. Let's get this holster off. Let's go back to the Glock 43. So when I go home at night, the gun does not come out of the holster. Because that's a safety mechanism, right? So it comes off my belt like that. That's how I put it in the safe. Next morning, that's how it goes back on my belt. So it doesn't come out of the holster until I get to the range and I'm ready to shoot it. All right, so let's go. Again, we'll go 30 yards. The Glock 43. I had to get dialed in there, but once I got dialed in, I was able to get a few shots in a row. Yeah, red dots, big, definitely. Yeah, I mean, definitely something you should have on the gun. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. The iron sights are still there, so in case the red dot doesn't work or whatever, you can always transition to your iron sights. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll practice like one-handed draws, right? Because a lot of times people talk about perfect presentation. If you do perfect presentation, your red dot should be there. Now I use the this one. I use the ACSS. This one over here has the a 32 M-way circle, and I don't even use the dot. I just use the 32 M-way circle as a point of aim. So one of the things that I practice, right, is not just using perfect presentation where your dot's going to be there. I'll also practice doing one-handed draws, coming out, and acquiring my optic. So when I do it like this, right, because this doesn't have an ACSS optic, with this I have to go to my iron sights. So basically, if I'm drawing one-handed, I'll find my iron sights, line them up, and then my my dot will be there. So that's something that you got to work into your drills as well. Drawing one-handed, like these awkward positions where you're aiming the gun behind you, not using perfect presentation, just you know, finding either your iron sights or your dot, whatever you're shooting with. So anyway, yeah, this Glock 43, excellent gun, very well built. You know, it's a shame that I didn't get this with at the time that, you know, it wasn't available with a red dot or an optic cutout. So if you get the opportunity, do buy it with an RMS cut. Okay, you know, don't get it without one. I mean, in my opinion, guns that are not optic ready are antiques at this point. And I'll tell you, I've mentioned this in other videos. I train lots of beginners, new shooters, women. Okay, and one of the things that I found is before optics, when I was training women, maybe I had like a 20% retention rate. Right, 80% of women, they very quickly lost interest in shooting guns. They didn't like the whole line up the front sight, rear sight, focus on the front sight. You know, I only had about 20% retention rate. When I switched over to putting optics on my guns, like my retention rate went up to like almost 99%. You know, because remember, when people coming to me are already interested in guns, the question is, are they going to stick with it? Okay, so with iron sights, you know, I could see that a lot of the women weren't that interested, didn't come back for follow-up sessions, none of that. Once I started putting optics on guns, yeah, then they started coming back. Whether it was a rifle or a pistol, they were a lot more interested. So my line of thinking is, get them interested in shooting, right? Get them into the gun culture, right? And then you can go back and you can, you know, teach iron sights and stuff like that. Okay, so anytime I'm training people, always teach always teach optics first. Anytime I'm training people, and then later on down the road we'll go to iron sights. And the same thing goes with cars, right? A lot of people say, oh, you should learn to drive a manual or stick shift first. You know, I try. Lots of women are just not interested in that. They don't want to deal with the clutch. You know, and for, you know, despite all the arguments in favor of learning to drive a manual car, they weren't selling the cars, right? People just weren't buying the cars, right? So manufacturers basically, you know, favored what people want rather than what is theoretically better for them, right? Or theoretically the superior way to go. Okay. Now I learned to drive on automatic, and then after that I drove a stick shift for some 35 plus years. Okay. I only recently switched to an automatic, and the reason is because just nowadays the reality is that when we're driving, you know, there's other things going on that we gotta be doing. I'm not gonna go into the details, but just the way we live and work today, you know, there's a lot of things that we gotta do while we're driving, and I just needed my hands free for it. Okay, so it's just reality. All right, you can say that, oh, you should concentrate on driving, whatever. You know, reality says otherwise. Okay, so anyway, drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you soon. So I was not happy with my shooting at 30 yards. We're gonna do that again. Okay, so 30 yards with the Glock 43. Gotta work on that a little bit more.